In India, police have shot dead 4 men suspected of raping and killing a young female vet in Hyderabad last week. The suspects were reportedly shot when they tried to steal the officers' guns and escape. Let's head to our London studios now, where Juliana Olayinka has more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom in London. French police are preparing for another weekend of violence as protesters continue their action against pension reforms. There were scuffles in the capital as demonstrators marched through the city, carrying flares, lighting fires and causing chaos. Over 5 days, millions of people were taking action nationwide. The biggest strike in decades, shutting down public transport and reducing hospital staff numbers, teachers and police at work. The Interior Ministry says more than 800,000 people hit the streets across the country on day one. The walkout is set to continue until Tuesday.
J'ai vu depuis le début de ce débat, depuis que nous avons commencé à travailler sur la question de la mise en place d'un système universel de retraite, j'ai vu certains désigner des catégories de Français en les accusant de tous les maux. J'en ai vu d'autres diffuser des chiffres qui ne correspondent pas à la réalité et qu'ils savent faux, des fake news comme on dit parfois en mauvais français et en bon anglais. Je présenterai ensuite, mercredi prochain, à 12 h, au Conseil économique, social et environnemental, qui est la chambre du dialogue social et des corps intermédiaires, l'intégralité du projet du gouvernement.
Scores of people were trapped when a 6-story building collapsed in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Hundreds looked on as emergency workers desperately tried to find survivors in the rubble. Crowds cheered as people were pulled out alive, but quickly silenced as bodies were also recovered. The Red Cross says 22 families were living in the building. The cause of the collapse wasn't immediately clear. 4 men suspected of raping and killing a female vet have been shot dead by police in India. They'd been taken to the scene of a murder for a crime reconstruction. Police say they opened fire when the suspects allegedly tried to snatch guns from the officers. The police have been praised for their actions. Huge crowds who've been demanding justice for the 27-year-old victim turned out in their droves to celebrate the officers, showering them with flowers and sweets.
हम सभी लोग बहुत खुश हैं। वो मेरी सोसाइटी की बेटी थी, तो हम सभी को न्याय मिला और आगे भी जो भी ऐसे क्राइम करने के लिए सोचेगा भी ना, वो 10 बार पहले ऐसे सोचेगा। और मुझे ऐसे लगता है यूपी में भी सेम वारदात हुई है, तो यूपी पुलिस को भी ऐसे लेसन लेना चाहिए।
Human rights organisations, including Amnesty International, are calling for an investigation to establish whether the killings were extrajudicial.
I am feeling happy that this was the end we all wanted for them, but this end was supposed to be through the legal system, and it should have been happened through proper channels.
Firefighters in Australia are facing huge infernos as bushfires continue to ravage New South Wales. More than 100 fires are burning across the state, some now merging to create a so-called mega blaze north of the country's largest city, Sydney. Hot and windy conditions are making it difficult for crews battling the flames, which are burning out of control. Since October, bushfires have killed 6 people and destroyed more than 700 homes across the country. The German leader Angela Merkel was called for a global fight against anti-Semitism. Her comments came as she visited the former concentration camp, Auschwitz, for the first time in her 14 years as Chancellor. Paying her respects to the victims, she joined the Polish Prime Minister in laying a wreath at the death wall. She also pledged €60 million to help conserve the site where the Nazi regime murdered an estimated 1.1 million people.
Oświęcim liegt in Polen. Aber im Oktober 1939 wurde Auschwitz als Teil des Deutschen Reiches annektiert. Auschwitz war ein deutsches, von Deutschen betriebenes Vernichtungslager. Es ist mir wichtig, diese Tatsache zu betonen. Es ist wichtig, die Täter deutlich zu benennen. Das sind wir Deutschen den Opfern schuldig und uns selbst.
A British woman whose heart stopped beating for 6 hours has been brought back to life. Teacher Audrey Showman developed severe hypothermia when she was caught in a snowstorm while hiking in the Spanish Pyrenees last month.
I thought she was dead because I was trying to feel for a pulse, trying to feel for... My fingers were also numb, so I wasn't sure if it was my fingers, but I couldn't feel a breath. I couldn't feel a heartbeat or anything.
Amazing. It's like a miracle, except I think it's all because of the doctors.
And finally, a chimpanzee is wowing crowds in China. After closely watching zookeepers wash their clothes on hot days, the animal started getting excited. So he was handed his own set of tools and quickly perfected the art of doing laundry. The 18-year-old was already the star attraction at the zoo, displaying talents like push-ups, handstands and pulling faces. And now he has another entertaining hobby added to his skill set. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Time now for some sports news. The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare, earlier today received the national under-19 cricket team who will be representing Nigeria at the World Cup for the first time in 100 years. Receiving the team, the minister praised the young cricketers for qualifying to represent the country at the World Tournament, which he describes as a very important milestone in sports development in Nigeria. He is confident, though, that the team has been grouped with tough teams and they will excel at the competition. The president of the Cricket Federation, Professor Yahya Okonya, informed the minister the team's qualification process for the World Cup started in August 2018 and emerged victorious in Division 2 Africa qualifiers as underdogs. The World Cup will hold on January the 17th through to February the 9th, 2020. Football action will return in the Nigeria Professional Football League across the country on Sunday, with 8 games scheduled for match day 7. League leaders Plateau United FC will travel to Owerri for their clash against host Heartland FC. Sunshine Stars will host Nasarawa United FC at the Ondo State Sports Complex in Akure. Kano Pillars FC will be seeking their second win of the season when they face Delta Force FC at the Sani Abacha Stadium. Other fixtures will see Katsina United FC take on MFM FC. Abia Warriors will host debutants Aqua Starlets. Aqua United FC host Adamawa United at the Nest of Champions. Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua have weighed in for their heavyweight championship rematch tomorrow, with the champion more than a stone heavier than their first clash in June. Despite claiming he will come into the fight in Saudi Arabia at a similar weight to his victory 6 months ago, Ruiz Jr. tipped the scales at an eye-watering 283.7 pounds, more than a stone heavier than the 268 pounds that he weighed when he stunned Joshua in New York. Joshua, meanwhile, has taken the opposite approach to Ruiz Jr., losing a considerable mass of weight to drop from 247 pounds in June to 237 pounds presently, in what is his lightest fighting weight since 2014.
237 pounds.
A Tottenham Hotspur FC boss Jose Mourinho has called for a collective effort to plug their leaky defence, which has conceded cheap goals in his first 4 matches in charge of the football club. Since Mourinho took over from Mauricio Pochettino last month, Spurs have conceded 8 goals in all competitions, with the North London club failing to keep a single clean sheet.
Yeah, but we have to sort out the defense without losing what we have in attack. We concede 2 goals in each one of my 4 matches, but we scored in all of them. And we could score even more than what we did. But you are right. We are conceding too much, and we are conceding some what I used to call cheap goals.
And that's sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Melinda, back to you for the wrap-up.
Many thanks, Ayo. And the main news again. The Department of State Services rearrested the convener of Revolution Now protests, Omoyele Sowore, barely 24 hours after releasing him on the orders of the Federal High Court, Abuja. Also today, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association and other prominent Nigerians condemned the rearrest of Mr. Sowore and his co-defendant, Mr. Bakari, by DSS operatives. And the Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Amechi, was today attacked at a climate change event in Spain by some members of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.